Jayme.
Good afternoon, ACC. I said, good afternoon, ACC. Today we're talking about the work-life balance, which is good news for all of us here, right? Before we begin talking about the work-life balance, let's begin with an exercise, or two if you're counting. We're going to have two activities going on at once. We'd like to invite the president of our community college to come forward, Dr. Rose. As he's coming forward, let's think about outside of work. We're going to form dyads or triads at our table. Dyad, group of two. Triads, group of three if you need to. Preferably group of two, because we're going to be sharing with one another. And the first question is this. Outside of work, we're all proud of things that we do at work, but outside of work, what are you most proud of? Think about that for a moment. While you're thinking about that, wait to share. We're going to have Dr. Rhodes go up to the table, and this crystal bowl on the table represents our work week. What does the bowl on the table represent? Our work week. Our work week. That's our work week right there. Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. We'll invite you up on the other side of the table so we can see this well. That represents our work week, and Dr. Rhodes, being the president, represents our supervisors. Now. Who does Dr. Rhodes represent? He represents our supervisors. And the bowl again represents our work week. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a moment to look around the table and form dyads or triads. That means a group of two or a group of three. Do you have a partner? Choose someone beside you. And now that we have a partner or two, the race begins. I have in my hand a bag of bricks. A bag of bricks. Dr. Rhodes' responsibility is going to be to fill that bowl, which symbolizes our work week, with as many bricks as he can without it going above the top of the bowl. Are we ready, Dr. Rhodes? We'll give him 60 seconds to work at that while we, in our triads, talk about outside of work. In your dyad or triad, outside of work, what are you most proud of? On your mark, get set, go. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. Let's take a look and see how Dr. Rhodes did in filling the bowl, which represents our work week, with bricks. How did he do? Very good. It looks like he did a very good job of filling our work week, but I see the Board of Trustees in the front row looking at that and saying, I bet we could fill that bowl a little more. Which is why, now that we've put the bricks in the bowl, we now have a bag of, oh my, stones. So now we're going to add stones to the bowl, and we're going to see how many stones Dr. Rhodes can put in that bowl without going above the rim. So far, so good? While he's doing that, for those of us who are in our dyads and triads, we discussed what we're most proud of. Isn't it great to know that we have a life outside of work and things that we're proud of, even outside of our work week? Question number 2 is this, in your dyad or triad. What is something about your life outside of work that very few people know? Think about that for a moment. Outside of your work life, what is about your life outside of work that very few people, if any, are we ready? Go! see how Dr. Rhodes is doing in filling our work week. How's he doing so far? If he's doing well, shall we clap for him? I think he's doing extremely well in filling that work week. Congratulations, Dr. Rhodes, that he waves his hand over it. Right? Filling that work week but not going above it. Do you see that table in the front row? The trustees, they're saying, come on now, really? For their sake, we have now not a bag of bricks, not a bag of stones, but a bag of sand. Do you think we can fit some in there?
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Rhodes, how much sand do you think that we can fit in there? Isn't it true that our work week is like that bowl of rocks where our supervisors add to it and we ourselves find ourselves adding to it. We'll watch you add to it as we talk, Dr. Rhodes. We find them adding to it until we think nothing else can fit in that work week of ours. Have you all had that experience?
Yes.
We have all had that experience, right? Where we think that nothing else can fit in to our work week, and it just keeps piling on. The work just keeps coming. Isn't that how it can be some weeks?
Yes.
And then just when we thought that we'd had enough, Dr. Rhodes, not above that line there. Just when we thought that we had enough in our work week, then along comes someone thinking that more can be put into it. Thank you, Stephen. You want to share with Dr. Rhodes that pitcher of water? And what happens? More goes into it. We thought that with the bricks it was filled as full as it could be. We added the stones. We thought that with the stones it was filled as full as it could be. With the sand, it's as full as it can be, right? Dr. Rhodes, will you do the pleasure? And it just keeps filling every available space. Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. A round of applause for Dr. Rhodes. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, therein lies the challenge with maintaining a work-life balance, right? When more and more is shoved in our direction, and technology doesn't help, does it?
No.
Because of technology, we can be available by cell phone, by text, by email. We can be checking these things even when we're at home with family, right? And suddenly the lines become blurred between our work life and our life outside of work. Did you know that the concept of a work-life balance is going to turn 30 years old next year here in the United States? What we're talking about with the work-life balance is a new concept for us, brought to the United States from Europe in 1986. And the question becomes this: how are you and I and all of us in this room maintaining a work-life balance? Let's unpack what that means. That word balance, any Greek scholars in the room today, where does that word balance come from? The English word balance comes from a Greek root, bis lanx, which means what? Bis, anytime we see B-I at the beginning of a word, it typically means two. Lanx, what are we talking about? Two plates. I couldn't make this up. That the English word balance comes from a Greek word root, bis lanx, which means what? Two plates. Think back to 8th grade science. You remember that scientific instrument that was comprised of two plates? What did we call it? A balance. A balance is comprised of two plates. And we put something onto one side and it makes it heavy and the plate goes down. And then we put something onto the other side until it balances. That's what balance is all about. From the Greek word bislans, which means to place, it's all about how it is that we need to strike a balance between the various plates of our lives. Follow me now. Because if we're focused solely on work, do we have balance in our lives? No. If we're focused on other things, on all of the challenges and problems of life keeping us down, do we have balance? No. What happens in life is that all of us, in all of the roles and responsibilities that we have, the challenge lies in maintaining what? Balance. I'm not going to stand up here, and I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's easy to maintain balance. In a recent survey, 2 out of every 5 employees in the United States said that work is very stressful. If work is very stressful for you at times, can you just yell out, guilty? Guilty! In a recent survey, 90% of working mothers said that they have a difficulty maintaining a work-life balance. 90%, that's 9 out of 10. If you're a working mom and you sometimes have difficulty maintaining a work-life balance, you just want to yell out, guilty! Guilty! 90% of working mothers. What's the percent of working fathers who say that they have a challenge with a work-life balance? Guys? Guys, ladies, give them a break. Cut them some slack. According to that same survey, 95% According to that survey, 95% of working fathers, which means 19 out of 20, said that they have difficulty maintaining a work-life balance. If you're a working father and you sometimes have a challenge with a work-life balance, you just want to say, guilty! Guilty! How fascinating that in studies on work-life balance, those who suffer most and have the most difficulty maintaining a work-life balance are people who fall into these demographics. Typically those between the ages of 30 and 44 have more of a difficulty with a work-life balance. Typically those with a higher education, meaning the more education you have, the more of a challenge it is. Right, Dr. Farrell, welcome. And also those who live in urban areas typically experience more of a work-life balance crisis than farmers, foresters, and those who fish, who rank lowest. If you're thinking of a career change, ladies and gentlemen, it seems that when we talk about work-life balance, think of your own life and what is important to you. Because every person in this room has things that are important to him or her that are probably different from those around you. And while work is important to all of us, because it's the way that we make a living, it's the way that we pay the bills and support our families and ourselves, work is important, but we've all heard that saying that no one has ever died saying, I wish I had spent more time where? Ladies and gentlemen, work is important. And when we're at work, this dynamic of the bowl of bricks and stones and sand and water is often what's happening to our workday. It just fills up and it expands, so we could easily be tempted to solely focus there. Would that be a balance if we're focused only on work? No. We've got to find a way to be able to bring balance to some of those other things that are important in our lives. Family, friends, community, our emotional health, our spirituality. There are other things in life with which we need to find a balance. When I heard that I'd be coming and speaking with our friends from ACC, I thought this is perfect. Because there are three things that we can all do to maintain a healthier work-life balance, and they're summed up in those letters A, C, C. Are you ready? A, C, C. What are the three things that we can do to maintain a healthier work-life balance? The A is for accept responsibility. Say what? The A is for accept responsibility. As human beings, one thing that makes us different from all other animals on this planet is that we are free to choose our actions. We're free to do something or to not do something. And with that freedom comes responsibility. The A, accept responsibility. Have you read Stephen Covey's award-winning book? What was it called? The 7 Habits of who? Highly Effective People. He has a line in there where he says, think about the word responsibility. That word could be comprised of 2 words. Responsibility, response, ability. You have the ability to choose your response. So that when things are coming at us at work, we have a responsibility to know that it's not just others putting things on me. There's something about that relationship in which I have some responsibility. So if you're feeling out of balance, what's the first step? A is for accept responsibility. That's a tough one. It's a tough one because we often feel so many pressures coming from outside of us, we find it difficult to say something, which is why the next letter is so important. And what's the next letter? C. And what does it stand for? Communicate. Follow me now. The English word communicate comes from the Latin root communis, which means that which we have in common. To communicate means that I share something and now we have that in common. So that if someone, like my supervisor, so aptly represented today by Dr. Rose, if someone is piling and piling and piling things on to my plate, I have a responsibility to do what? The C stands for communicate. To make that information known so that we share it in common and we can strategize about what we need to do about this. How did we begin this exercise? While Dr. Rose was adding the bricks and the stones to the bowl, what were the rest of us doing? We were communicating. We were talking with one another, letting them know something about us and about our lives. And so if we're going to strike a healthier work-life balance in our lives, then the A stands for what? Accept responsibility. The C stands for communicate. And the last C stands for cultivate healthier relationships. Yes, accept responsibility. Yes, communicate. But at the end of the day, we need to cultivate healthier habits. What does that C stand for? Cultivate healthier habits. Aristotle, an ancient Greek philosopher, he said, who you are today is a result of all those decisions you've made throughout your life. Follow me? Who you are today is a result of all those decisions, day after day after day. Many of those decisions turn into habits. We find ourselves forming certain habits, and some of those habits, said Aristotle, can be virtuous, and some of them less virtuous. He called them vices. Are your habits virtuous? Your choices day after day after day after day, are they virtuous, healthy choices? Or are they less so? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, if we're going to start cultivating healthier habits in our lives to bring some balance, it's going to take some change on our part. First, accepting responsibility for that imbalance, communicating with others around us and go, hey, that bowl is getting pretty full. And then cultivating habits that will help to bring a healthier balance to our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy. 95% of working fathers, 90% of working mothers say that they have difficulty in all of this. If you are experiencing a difficulty in this and maintaining work-life balance, you are not alone. Together as a community here at ACC, where everyone counts, and where the health of everyone contributes to our health as an organization. Let's go out of here focused on our own health as individuals and as a workplace on maintaining a healthier balance between the various important things in our lives. Thank you very much.